There we go. Right, welcome all for this is our 6th Zoom meeting, is it?
Is it really?
Yeah, I think it's 5th or 6th. Seems to be in a lifetime now, doesn't it? Right, so I don't want that one. I want the other one. See what we're organising today. See how well organised I am. Okay, welcome to everybody. First of all, we have open forum. Anybody who wants to talk on the open forum from the desk, Andy or Barbara?
No.
No. Okay, apologies from absence. We have Claire, who can't make it this evening. So we have apologies from her. Any declaration of interest?
No, I think so.
No. No, right, last time's meeting, last month's meeting. Let me just put it up on the screen and we can go through it. It'll be here in a second. I get the right one up. And DC meetings on the 13th. Okay, things we need to go through. Playground seesaw is still waiting to be delivered. Financial accounts payments, we've done all those. Haven't heard anything about the Duxford Lodge hotel license, but I presume that's going ahead. Water butts we'll be talking about later on. The disabled pedestrian access improvements, we're still looking at that. We've had a few other problems about it, so we're looking to see how we can improve the pedestrian access for disabled people, and whether we keep the second vehicle entrance, but we'll work that out once we worked out the new disabled pedestrian access. Rec car park during air shows. The Friends of Duxford School have now told us that they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So I reckon we should discuss. Have we got it on the agenda at all?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so I would think then what we're going to have to do, we've only just been advised that they're not going to do it. So I think the best thing to do is on that day is to keep it closed.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And we don't know tomorrow. They don't know whether it's going to go ahead anyway, because they've got 25,000 tickets they've sold for the show.
All right.
And they're waiting for confirmation from the government, and they will make a decision tomorrow as to whether they're going to open it.
Right.
Because on the news this evening there was talk from people who were working there and everything that it was they were concerned, and so was everybody else. They could well be that won't go ahead.
Yeah. If it does go ahead, I'll drop the tennis. The only people that wanted it to be open were the tennis crowd. I've got some function on the Sunday afternoon, so.
Well, what we can do, we can keep the barrier down, and maybe they can just put it up and let themselves in for anybody who's down there.
Let's see if it's on or not. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll worry about it later.
Okay.
Big entrance work has been done. The fence is up there.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. I don't know who did it, but they did a good job.
Yeah. I think it's not a cup of tea.
Roy did it.
Yeah, he knows. He knows. Yes.
Very good. It looks great.
Very talented, that man.
Tree service works. That's been discussed.
Yeah, we've got a quote.
Yeah. Pavilion renovation works.
Coming on brilliantly.
So somebody's been painting it. I don't know who. No, well done, Peter and Malcolm, and all the volunteers that have been over the last 3 days frantically painting away. All right.
It's Malcolm's Pam who's inspiring us.
What about the risk assessment and contingency should the DC disband? Have we got that in, Malcolm?
That's on the agenda, I think, isn't it?
On the agenda, is it?
It is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Road safety, that's an ongoing thing. They repaired it last week and there's about 5 potholes left. Teenage money, that's it. That's all, isn't it?
Okay.
Are we all happy for me to sign that?
Yeah, indeed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I will now sign it. Okay. Chairman's announcements. I've got a few, or one or two. Let me just pull up my announcements. Bear with me. Should have had them ready. September. Okay. Air show days I've talked about. Some of this and they're not doing it. Did we tell you about the our meeting with Gonville and Keir with the air show people with Duxford air shows? We discussed that last time, didn't we? Did we?
I think so.
No? Well, we did have a meeting with them. It was, you know, they were sympathetic to some of the things that Gonville and Keith were doing. They were really looking into how it would affect them. And, you know, they've been talking to Gonville and Keith as well. So they are reasonably happy with the plans they've put forward, though they have some reservations. So before we speak to Gonville and Keith again, they will be bringing the draft plans out in the next couple of months. So I think what we'll do is to see whether Gonville and Keith are on those draft plans or not, and whether they've been accepted to build anything, and then we can go into further discussions if they've been put onto it. I don't think there's any point in discussing it with Gonville and Keith anymore at the moment. And the next time we do speak to Gonville and Keith, then somebody from the Imperial War Museum will also be there to give their views on it as well. The draft North East Cambridge area plans are in. If anybody wants to, there's 4 weeks if you want to comment on it. The community warden scheme. Okay, Thorston is now going to take over the whole community warden scheme as we declined to do it. And they will be getting input, or would like input from us and support. And maybe somebody might be interested in taking that on and just giving them support and in any information that we need for our residents of Duxford. We can put that on next month's agenda to see if anybody's willing to just be as a liaison between us and Thorston when they get the mobile wardens, when they get it up and running. So, yes, Joanne.
Just a brief interruption. Apologies just received from Lisa.
All right. Oh, yes, Lisa, of course. Yeah, she's probably a little bit stressed out. We had a letter from a resident in near the bus shelter that was complaining about the use there again, and that somebody had been having a wee in the bin. And again,
in the middle of the
nothing
day.
to do about it, unfortunately. They have to get into the onto the police constable, and we've given them their telephone number and everything. And today I was having a walk, and an irate person wanted to know why a tree had been cut down on the grass verge in Kingsbury.
Oh.
On the grass verge, they turned up a couple of days ago and cut a perfectly healthy tree down, and I don't know why.
Who was that?
Gillian.
Right. Interestingly, in the last lot of road closures and obstructions we got, that was listed as one of the reasons for street works.
All right.
But when I clicked on the link, it said now deleted. So there is a reference still on the road, one network road work.
Right. So.
So we could ask Southampton to cross-check it.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
It doesn't say who did the work.
Yeah. No. They just didn't understand why a perfectly healthy tree was cut down. But there must have been some reason. I don't know whether we saw anything coming in on our planning about. Is it in the conservation area, Ed?
That's what I was just been trying to work that out. The planning website's changed very slightly. If it will. It's very close to it. Certainly, the line will be somewhere around there. We're quite which side of it is. Failed to find the paperwork in time for that.
Okay.
But, certainly, it comes along the south side of St Peter Street, and the conservation area is then to the north of that, so it includes all of St Peter Street. It wiggles about a bit, so whether it'll quite cover that tree, I'm not sure. Is this the one?
Sorry, Ed. I have a vague memory of one of the parishioners complaining about a tree at the beginning of Canterbury about a year ago or something like that.
Right.
So maybe they've just decided to have it cut down. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we only found out today, so we can have a look.
We'll investigate
more for Ed. Okay. That's it. That's all our chairman's announcements.
Okay.
COVID, discuss and agree DPC meetings going forward. Yeah, well, everything's changed again now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in theory, because we're a business, we can hold meetings in public, providing we keep our distance. But I think my personal opinion is that yes, it'd be good to get into it so we could all have more interaction when we're doing these talks. But I don't think that in the next couple of months, until they redo their advice again, whether we should have it in person. I mean, if we do have it in person, then we would have to do it in a dual, have sort of Zoom and in person. So anybody who didn't want to come in would be able to Zoom into the meeting still and watch it and deal with it. But I don't know. What's people's opinions on that?
Well, this works fine, doesn't it?
Yeah, so some people do not really like to have or are adverse to Zoom meetings. I know a number of people I used to work with, and when we were on COVID, there were some people that really couldn't interact via a Zoom meeting. They get stressed out about it, and I say, you know, to have a good conversation, it's nice to sit around the table and have the conversation, and be able to do both the things. But I don't think at this moment in time, certainly not for the next couple of months, whether we should consider it. But as I say,
Let's stay with Zoom, I say.
It's my vote.
Yeah. That's I was one of the people who agreed with Nick that perhaps we should investigate the going back to having in-person meetings. But given the most recent, that was before the government changed their mind yet again. So probably really ought to stick with this for the minute.
yeah. We're all in agreement on that, are we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
More balance.
Okay. We will do it as soon as we can, because I would like to sit around the table, because we can then go to the pub for a drink afterwards.
We still can anyway. That's the thing. That is the stupid thing about it all. We can all still go to the pub. It's ridiculous.
I know.
Speaking of which,
Joanne.
What about room bookings? Am I going to lose my space at the community centre next year if I don't think about it now, do you think?
Well, I think if we book it for, say, December.
January onwards?
December onwards. Okay, and that will give us a couple of months, and then we can see whether, you know, we can do a dual. I say go in there. Certain people sit around the table. Those who don't want to can still zoom into it. So if we book it from December, and we will have to ask them though if they can get a TV screen in there so that we can do Zoom meetings from it as well. So let's book it for December, and we can always cancel it. Any other questions, comments on that?
No.
No. Okay. Discuss and agree Scout Huts access by allotment track. They've just they're using some COVID, so they're having sort of one-way systems going in and out to the Scout Hut. I don't think it's going to really affect us at all. I can't see any reason for saying to them, no, you can't do that. You know, it's just they're having a one-way system for dropping people off and what have you on their Scouts meetings.
This is presumably rather than making everybody go up and down the narrow path.
Yes.
So that you use the track next to it.
That's right, yeah.
Right, I understand. Yeah, yeah.
They use the track next to it, and they operate a one-way system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're all happy with that? Anybody disagree?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Super duper. We're rushing through these today.
Yeah. It won't last.
What was next? I've lost my page 2. 1. 2. Oh, we're on to planning.
Okay, that's me up. I'll see if I can make this work.
I better let you share the screen.
If I press that one, share, does that work? Edward has shared his screen. There we go. Great. There we go. So first up is 57 Moorfield Road. So it's penultimate house opposite the allotments as you go out of the village on Moorfield Road. So yes, that one just there. Had a lot of building work going on to it already, sort of thing. Subject of planning applications over there's 3 in the last 3 years, sort of thing, basically. I think, or 3 in the last 2 years, this being the 3rd one, sort of thing. Somebody clearly can't quite make up their mind about what they want to do. They're all variations on the thing, making the existing house significantly bigger. There is already planning permission in to make this house significantly bigger, and there's the they've demolished the garage from the front of 57A that was right on Moorfield Road there, and they so this basically, see if I can pull the right ones up. So that's the approximate ground floor and first floor layout of it. That's the bit they've already built to 57A. It's a bit of single story extension on the back, but that I think is now a separate property, so isn't covered by any of this that's been built. And that's roughly what it, so the 57A has got that the boarding on the front.
Yeah.
And so the proposal here is the wooden boarding across the front. The sort of difference to any of the previous plans that we've seen before, if I can show you these ones, these are ones that have been already approved. So it's cedar panelling across the front. You see there's a garage here, but where is it? The north elevation there, the garage stops more or less at the front of the original house, whereas the new proposal actually brings the garage significantly further forward there in front. Let's see if I can find some floor plans. Which ones are they? Yes, so that'll be, so everything from that front wall backwards that way we've sort of has been covered largely by previous planning applications to put. So then there's a ensuite gone on the end there, on the right hand end of this picture, first floor over the garage. What they're really doing is building this bit forward to make a very thin garage and a lobby there, but then leave enough of a gap to actually have a passageway down the side. So that's the change from what's been previously proposed. Is that?
And they put that side door in as well, was it?
Oh yes, so that side door would be new as well, out onto this new passageway. Previously, that was a shared party wall with the number 59 next door. So it wouldn't. So that's the change, really. Yes, they've already got significant plan application for something very similar. The only real change we're looking at from what they've been approved of before is this. The bit forward, which is a flat roof. Yes, so there we go. So a flat roof across there, of it extending out forward. No, in fact, yes, that one. So a flat roof forward there. That's it. It's the garage.
Yeah, they brought it forward.
Just brought it forward, sort of thing. No particular reason to see any reason to object, sort of thing. The building controls people may have some concerns about coming forward of some building line or anything like that, but I don't think that's a particular concern of ours. I think there's enough depth off the road, still park, and you can turn around and leave forward, so no reason to object, I think. It's,
Okay.
recommend approval.
I go
Everybody
past
agree?
that.
Great.
So can I just ask a question? I go past that literally every day on my way to the allotment. And it does look as though this is quite a substantial change from the point of view also of the neighbours. Are they going to have a chance to comment on this? Because if you come out towards the road and go up, that has a fairly sizable effect on the people next door. I mean, I don't know any of them, but I've watched the thing progress, and it's a kind of a creeping operation. You know, they've got a little bit extra here and then a little bit extra there. If you compare the final thing with where it started, it's quite a substantial change.
Yeah.
I assume the planners look at that too, but
Yes,
the neighbours
I think
might
so.
have a say.
So yes, that was the original house, and if I get it right, that's the new house. So that bit there, with a garage there, is what's there at the moment. That bit. So you're getting that, adding that bit, and then there's a bit can't quite make it point. So the ensuite on the very right of the first floor plan has all appeared. In comparison to the original house.
Sorry, the next door neighbour will have got a copy of these plans anyway. Because
Oh yes, they will have received notification, as will have the people in the firs or the nurseries, and the people on the other side of the entranceway there. So
I guess
they will have been notified. That process will have gone through.
It's a little complicated, but it was up for sale for about a week. The bigger house on the right. And I assume either it's sold or it was withdrawn. Literally, the board was up for a week.
Right, that possibly explains this change then. So it may have been sold with the previous lot of planning applications. Somebody now wants it slightly different. So yeah.
Well, I think it's more up to the pros than us.
Yes, it's. Wish they'd get on with it and stop it being a building site, I think, really.
Okay, carry on then.
Yeah, okay, so that's that one. I'll just check the...
I can't see everyone, so any objections, please?
No, at all.
No objection.
I'm happy. Yeah. What can I hear?
So, okay, next one.
So 14 Moorfield Road, a single-storey rear extension. This one, unfortunately, rather similar. That one. Go back one. There we go. Right. If you can just see at the bottom here. So as you come past, if you go out of the village along Moorfield Road, you come past the end of St John Street. There's the beauty salon, and then on the right, and then several semi-detached houses. it's the first one of those. So they're a semi-detached house with a single-storey kitchen shared between the two houses at the back, and this is a small single-storey garden room there with a light in it, and then a utility room extending that side of the kitchen extension off the back of the building. So there's number 14 there. So it's that little bit of roof there, and the that single story extension there. Where are they? So that's what they've got at the moment. So gardener shed and that sort of thing, and then that's roughly what it'll look like. So so that's the pitch of the roof, which is the extension shared between the two buildings, and this is the pitch of their extension, which is lower than the rest, only very slightly higher than the fence, and then the garden room just there on the back of the house. Yes, the neighbours have been notified, haven't heard anything from them. So to us, certainly very modest in its ambitions, and would recommend approval.
Okay. Any objections at all?
No.
No.
Okay, carried. Next.
And that's it. And oops, the playing list. And surprisingly, for a change, no decision's been received back from the planning committee. And so that's about the end of it for me.
And no planning correspondence at all.
No. There's I'm working my way slowly through the paperwork for the proposed changes to the planning system, which is a cure for insomnia, and I'll report to that on a later date for discussion around the council.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you, Ed. Do you want to stop sharing your screen?
Yep. Stop sharing. There we go. Is that it? Good. Right. This one can leave now. I've done that.
Okay. Lovely. Thank you. Okay. Well, welcome, Peter. Nice to see you this evening. Oh, I better unmute you.
Oops.
Two parish council meetings going on at the same time.
All right. Okay. Do you want us to skip to your district and county council matters?
Yeah. 1 second. I've got the Greater Cambridge Partnership talking on the other line to Babraham. So, right.
We received your report.
Great. So I'll rattle through it. I'll assume that you've had a chance to look at it, or at least scan it or something.
Yeah.
So I'll go through pretty quick. The first one was, it was really a heads up on the government planning white paper. You might have seen in August, where the government published a new white paper. It is only a white paper. It's not legislation at this stage. But the key thing in this is that if you've got land that would be designated as growth or renewal, then it would take away the powers from both the district and the parish, because a planning permission would be granted automatically or in principle. Now, you know, you probably read the media reports, and there's a lot of discussion within the Tory party going on about this because the shires are not happy. And although I've not heard anything from the Tories on South Cambs, so it's a long way to go yet. But this is, if you haven't seen it, this is the link to the document from Boris Johnson and Robert Jenrick. So we'll just keep an eye on it, and I'll update you as we go. But it's a pretty significant thing. Coming back closer to home, there's a thing going on which I mentioned to you, I think, in June, the Planning Advisory Service. So this is the Planning Advisory Service is talking to us, talking to Stephen Kelly, and we'll be talking to you as well. You should have got an invitation, or will get an invitation, to join in some group discussions between the 15th and the 17th of September. If you don't get an invitation, if Joe could let me know. And that will be a consultation about what they found so far and their observations, and there will be a questionnaire to you as a parish. So you say, well, South Cambs is great, South Cambs is a load of rubbish, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, well, we have received correspondence about that so far.
Yeah.
Good.
Ed's looking into it.
There is a phase 2, but that's mostly on the City Council. And this will all feed into a report and a review of what we're doing in South Cambs by the end of the year, if not before. I mentioned, you remember in June, we had the discussion about planning delegations.
Yep.
So I promised that I would update you as we go. So, this is a particular interest to Ed, but others as well. So in June, July, August, the parishes made requests of 36 referrals. 8 of these were referred to the committee, which looks a bit stark, but then 7 from the 36 were to do with one site in Linton. And the other thing that's not in here is, of these referrals where they then had a discussion with officers, and the parish then said, yes, that's fine, it doesn't need to go to committee. That's not included in here. So the number is probably about 30-odd%. Now, considering it was 6%, it's an improvement. Obviously, from a parish point of view, you'd want that to be 100%. So I will keep updating you as we go to make sure these numbers are increasing, because that's what you want to see.
Okay, thank you.
The call for sites, you'll hear a lot more about the call for sites. So in the last local plan, there were 400 sites submitted. I think 468, or I've got a number in my head, and 35 were developed or will go forward for development. This time there have been 500 submitted, including Gonville and Keys for Duxford, but they are just a call for sites. So you'll be involved, you'll be asked to contribute in the process leading up to summer. The sort of final inverted commas list will be published next summer, but then you'll have an opportunity to comment. And when this call for sites list is published, everything will be published. So, what they envisage, if it's how many houses, what type of houses, everything will be published. It will bore you to death, but anyway. And then you'll have a map where you can zoom in on Duxford and you can see what's been, what sites have been proposed, where have they been proposed, and what they are. Okay, so look out for that.
Okay.
I'm sure you're all dying to go to Camborne and have an appointment. So from the 15th of September, you'll be able to do that. You'll be pleased to know, and that's the online form, because you need to make a booking, an appointment. Northeast Cambridge, I won't dwell on. It's more for your information. Because this is 8,000 homes and 20,000 jobs, this is a big deal for the 5-year housing land supply.
Sure.
Right? So, if that doesn't happen, well, it will happen. Well, we think it will happen. If for any reason it got held up, it would affect the 5-year housing land supply. So it's just to keep you posted. Zero carbon grants, you've got until 5 o'clock on 30th September to submit. That's the link in the application form there. Dear to Your Hearts is the Duxford Hotel. As you may have heard, the Red Lion at Whittlesford, who complained, weren't able to connect to the meeting, and so it's got to be heard again in October. Yeah, thanks. Roy's laughing because of the technology. So it just shows you the technology is not perfect. It's a Zoom call, apparently. Huawei, we were a bit surprised the Secretary of State did not call this in. If you remember, people were jumping up and down and saying we should turn down the approval based on what the Chinese are doing. We're legally not allowed to do that, and we thought the Secretary of State called it in. So he's not called it in. So it will go to the next phase. Welcome. There'll be a draft S106 agreement for Hingston coming through fairly soon. County, obviously the big thing at the moment is the return to school plan. So the link to the full plan is in there. The only bit I listed here was the transport arrangements. So, for example, a bus will only go to one institution. It won't go to 2 institutions to minimize cross-infection, should that happen. I don't know if you've heard much about pupils being sent home so far, but that is going to happen. Mobile testing units I'll skip past because hopefully that won't happen here. Although I have, hope you don't mind, I've suggested Duxford Community Centre, where you would get a mobile centre, rocks up in the car park and uses the car park. But I don't think we'll get these in South Cambs. These mobile units have been deployed in areas of high infection. And then the last thing is solar panel offers. You've probably seen a bit of publicity. So if you're dying to buy your 10 solar panels for your house, then please go on this site and register your interest. They will do a big auction together with the county so that you get a better price for your solar panels. That's it. Questions?
Anybody got any questions for Peter?
No, not at all.
Oh, and the final one was, so sorry, I forgot to put in there. So the Duxford School, obviously the mobiles are all installed, and Suzanne's hoping to get them up and running. I have suggested this path in discussion with Roy and Peter as an alternative. That I think they're kind of thinking about that. And the county have promised that they will look at this right of way, you know, from the back of the school or the back of the old preschool reception building through to St. John Street. They said they will look at that as part of the plan. So I will keep in touch with them and keep you updated what's happening there.
Thanks, Peter. That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you for a lot of that.
Thank you. So before you go, Peter, our next discussion, our street lighting.
Oh yeah, my favourite topic.
Your favourite topic. So we had a letter from the young lady asking us what we're doing, and if we don't get it sorted out soon, then we could lose the upgrade to the street lighting.
Yeah.
So I mean, we haven't had much. Joanne hasn't had much correspondence directly to her, apart from a couple of letters saying, you know, you need to organise this out. I mean, as I said, we haven't precepted for it this year.
I know.
When we discussed it 18 months ago, we were told we didn't own any. And now they're expecting us to pay this year for our lighting. I mean, do we have any recourse to that, or are we just going to have to bite the bullet and do it?
I could kid you and say you could defer it and deflect it, but I'm afraid you're going to have to pay up. Yeah. Obviously, they will not charge you anything for payments up to now. Right. So, and the positive thing, as you will recognise, is if you pay up in inverted commas now, and then you get the street upgrades, then your bill will come down very significantly.
Okay.
So you will.
Right.
It's what 40% of the cost, I think, compared to now. Once you get into the upgrade program, and it is in your interests. I mean, quite apart from the broader objectives on reduction, it's in your objectives to get into the upgrade program.
Okay, thanks for those comments, Peter. We shall now discuss it further. Gillian, first.
Gillian.
We're not having to pay for the upgrade. It's only for the electricity use.
Only for the electricity.
Right?
Yeah. So Gillian, the faster you go into the upgrade, the faster the electricity bill comes down.
Right.
Edward?
I was just going to ask if you'd there'd been any movement from the highways department about the possibility of crossings for the 505 and the Sawston bypass for children going to school on bicycles and so on, walking.
Okay, that's a good question. So we have next Thursday the next discussion of the A505 group. So if you leave it with me, I will raise it then. As I mentioned to you before, although there isn't anything to report at this month meeting, there are more than 30 options being considered for the 505. Everything's been considered, basically, which is the way we wanted it to be, including not only looking at a southbound junction 9, but a new junction 9 further up the A11, if that doesn't sound Irish. So in other words, because it might be cheaper to make a new junction 9 or a junction 9A than to then open up the existing junction 9. So if either of those things happened, of course, it would take significant traffic off 505 to begin with. So
yeah, I was really more the point was the immediate sort of post-COVID.
I know, yeah, short term, yeah.
If some temporary lights could be put in there or something like that to because they are trying to encourage the children to cycle rather than catch the bus.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I should have said that, Ed. We are considering short-term stuff. So we've got short, medium. So in the 35 options, some of the options are next 2 years, next 18 months to 2 years. Some are 2 to 3 years, and then 5 years plus. So I will ask them to make sure that it's put in the mix to look at the short-term options, including crossings.
Okay, thank you.
So Peter, to that, then, does that also then integrate with the Whittlesford Hub project? Because that had crossings,
Yes,
didn't it?
very much so, yeah, yeah.
So the two connect, do they? Kind of.
Yeah, so, you know, back on the table is a specific connection from the travel hub to the Genome Campus and the travel hub to the Imperial War Museum, for example.
Yeah. So is that all now encompassed in the 505 study, is it?
Yes, yes. So the reason why, because some people ask me what's happening with the Whittlesford Travel Hub, and the reason why that has not come, if you like, gone ahead faster than it is because we asked for it to be not put on ice, but to be considered as part of the 505 study. Right. So you haven't got two things going on at once. You've got one study looking at the whole thing.
I hadn't realised that. Okay, yeah.
So I'm guessing, this is a bit of a guess and don't hold me to it completely. So probably by November, I can come back and show you, because the study won't finish till autumn next year, but I can show you what all the 30 options are.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Lovely.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions, Peter? No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
I'll go back to my other one now.
All right. Cheers. Okay, so back to our street lighting. It looks like we've got no option but to pay for it, and so we've managed to get away with it for about 5 years, so I understand, and we've got away fighting it for the last 18 months. So it looks like we're going to have to go ahead, get our own electricity supplier, and pay the money out of reserves for this year, depending on when they replace the lights and everything. Don't think we can fight it anymore.
I thought all our lights had been done.
No.
They put LED.
No, I've got the list, and some down Hunts Road, back of the garage at Lacey's Way, a couple of other ones. We've got about, I can't remember. Can you remember, Joanne, how many there were?
20, 25.
About 25 that haven't been upgraded. The only one that has been upgraded is the one that's by Polecat Lane. All the other ones are old ones.
Are the ones on the wreck in the list?
Yeah, they're on the list.
Yeah, ones on the wreck. Oh,
yeah.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
They're there. They're proper.
I'll circulate the list around to you all if you like. I've got it on a spreadsheet here. Okay.
How much is it going to
I think
cost?
we should just do it. I think we should just put this to bed. We should bite the bullet, do it, and put it to bed now.
So, Joanne, if you can speak to the Sawston clerk and find out who she speaks to. I think it was Eon who was the one that was recommended some months ago, and we need to get in contact with them and arrange to start paying it. So take your time though. So we're all in agreement with that. Yes, but get on and do it.
Yeah, I've got a choice really.
Yeah.
No. Go for it.
Okay. All right. Oh, discuss and agree membership of the Cambridge and Peterborough Against Scam Partnership. Oh yes, Joanne.
Back to finance, please.
Oh yes. Let's go back to the finance, shall we?
That's a good idea.
Hold on, we'll leave it to paper. Finance. Finance for accounts. We have a number of bills to pay. Just bear with me a second and I will pull them up. When I can find it. I can read that one. That one. Yes, share screen. That one. Yeah. Okay, we've got these bills we need to pay. Most of them are straightforward. Feed and water butt, that's all in there. Website domain renewal, parish online, our renewal fee of that £108. Burkitt's with our community centre lease.
That's the final element of that. Yeah, that's the end of it.
Buchan v contracts. We have discussed the contract with Buchan's for the number 2 contract where the quote was wrong. We haven't got it on the meeting for this month, so we'll put it on for next month just to explain to you what sort of agreement we have come to and see whether you agree with that. EnviroCare invoices are there. My expenses for the playground tunnel and the begin fence repair. And Julian for the brewery secured clerk duties and expenses. You happy that we pay these?
Yep.
Yeah, we're happy on that. Super duper. And we got 4 payments for COVID, which it will be the last payments that we're paying out for them at the moment in time.
Roy,
Yes.
can I'm just as a matter of interest, how much money is in the COVID account?
I will get it sorted, about 5 or 6 grand still.
Okay, because we need, I think we ought to start making a plan, and I would love it if other people wanted to help with it. But otherwise, us in the core team really should start making a plan in case we need to kick it off again, because I think that might be coming.
Yeah, what I'll do, I'll get the accounts finalised, and then we'll get a meeting of the COVID team together and decide what course of action and how we're going to help our parishioners. So I'll work on that. I'll get that out by the end of next week. Right. Oh, right. Okay. The membership of the Cambridge and Peterborough Against Scams partnership. Okay, so I had the police liaison meeting or South Cams on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, and 2 things came to light. The Speed Watch program. If we ever wanted to start it again, then the police are now loaning the Speed Watch equipment so that people can use it without having to go to the expense of buying it. So if we ever decide, or if we have enough volunteers that want to start the Speed Watch again, then we can start it, and we can ask the police to loan us the equipment, and they will maintain it and loan it. I know we closed it down because we didn't get enough people to do it, and I don't think we have the resources or anything at the moment, certainly, to run it. But if speeding does become a problem in the village, then we can always revisit that at some later stage. The other thing that we talked about was this, which is that. Okay, so Cambridge and Peterborough have started a partnership against scam. And what this basically is, it's trying to get out to the local residents and everything, the sort of spam that might be going on, and to give people an idea as to what it involves, and also people that have been spammed or had people knocking on their doors and everything, to help give them help and discuss the matter with them, and try to make it more of a local thing. All right. So what they've done, they've all got together, okay, and they produce these posters and leaflets, and they have people who going out and doing talks to the local community about how to protect against it, about rogue traders, and producing posters and leaflets, and it's all trying to get people to get out and about and remove the stigma, if you like, of being scammed and not wanting to talk about it or talk to other people about it, and also to give a more local approach and an update each time a new scam comes out. And a lot of the parish councils have joined it, and we were asked if we would become one of the supporters of it. All right. So lots of other parishes have come about it. These are the sort of tips they can come in, and they just make it more open and everything for the local parishes. So what I would ask is if anybody would like to be our representative on it. I did speak to Nick last week to see if she was interested. Because I know she's one for the people. And are you happy to take this on, Nick?
You press gang me when I was having a nice sausage roll in Paul's Cafe.
I didn't press gang you at all. Did I buy you the meal? No, I didn't.
Did you?
It's a yes, I'll do.
Lovely. I mean, I know Claire isn't with us, but maybe you'd like to have a chat to her, maybe do it as a partnership.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
are we all in agreement that it's a good thing we should go for?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Gillian?
I was just thinking, I think last meeting we talked about I can't remember what it was. It was to get it was a repair cafe or something like that, they were trying to get the older people that were lonely. Who was doing it? Was it Granta? Anybody else have a better memory than I do? It was something to do with, it started off as an initiative that was brought up by the bloke whose wife died, the elderly parishioner whose wife died.
Right.
And he was interested in becoming support for other people in a similar situation or lonely people. And I was thinking if we could combine that initiative with this, because they're exactly the sort of people that are targeted.
Yep. This sort of thing is ideally for that, because we can support it, and then then the residents and everything can become friends against scam. So they can help log in and get some volunteers around who may, in the community centre, have an afternoon session where people can talk about it. So yes, that's a good idea. We can try to get the local community.
I'll try and find information about it. I can't remember where I saw it.
Okay. All right. Okay, Nick. So yes, if you could contact that young lady.
I should contact the woman, yes.
And put our name forward to say that we would love to support them.
Superb.
Thank you for doing that. And then we will see how it goes. It seems like a good idea. And I was talking to a woman today, one of our elder residents, and she was getting these emails and she was still saying, should I answer them? Shouldn't I? And even though I kept on saying, no, don't answer anything, don't answer any phone calls, she still feels obliged to talk to these people. So it's something that we can probably help them with. So
yeah, should be more like me. Like, distrust everybody. That's the way to go forward.
Well, you trust me, don't you?
I don't know about that.
Thank you very much, Nick. Well, I'll talk to you about it some other time. Thank you. Allotment report. Oh, that's me again, isn't it? Okay, so I was talking to some of the people in the allotments, and I had a meeting with DAS, and we were talking about replacing some of the water butts that were situated around the site under the taps. And I was looking at the price of buying some new ones, and I suddenly thought, why are we buying water butts to fill up with water from the tap? Water butts are meant to collect rainwater, not just to be there, to be filled up by a tap and then emptied into a bucket.
Well,
So-
it is, Roy, there is a point. I mean, I try not to do it, but what most people use the water butts for is to dip their watering can into them and carry water away. And what that means is you can be refilling the water butt whilst you're watering your plants. In a sense, it's quite an efficient way of doing it. But some do, some don't. Some of the butts don't work, some of them leak and some don't have one at all. It's a mess, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my train of thought was, well, if we're going to put a water butt in, because most of the ones that are old cans, which have got the chops chopped off, which you fill up and what have you. If you buy a new water butt, they don't come with no top on it. They come enclosed normally, where you capture the rainwater and everything. And I would have thought that to help conservation and everything, that if we do get new water butts, then maybe we should have a few set around the place to actually collect water. There are, there are systems around that can collect the water as well, save on our water supply, and also to encourage the allotment holders to put a rainwater butt on their plots. Because I think buying these new water butts, which you can't dip your watering can into because they've got no top, is a waste of money, if you like.
As one who would benefit, Roy, I entirely agree with you. I think they would be a waste of space. And I do agree with you, if you could find a way of collecting a substantial amount of water and channeling it into water butts, that would be great. But you probably need quite a lot of space to collect enough water to make it viable.
Yeah, what we'll do, because we did agree last month that I could buy these water butts, which are about £30–40 each. So what I think, what I would like to do is to put that on hold for the moment, and I will talk to the allotment holders and to DAS and see if we can come up with some better way, A, for harvesting the water, B, how we can encourage plot holders to put these water gathering things on their own plots, which it only costs about £60 to do a small one with 150 litres to collect the water, and see if we can do a more efficient way of distributing the water around the allotments rather than just filling up old cans. Gillian.
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing how a small area will collect. The bike shelter on Brewery Field, we put a 1,000 litre old orange juice container underneath it. And I mean, we did have some heavy rain, but in a week it's full. It's absolutely full. And you can put, on the one on Brewery Field, we have a much bigger, instead of a tap, it's you open the tap and it comes out. It would fill your watering can in 4 or 5 seconds. So I think that's really what we should be looking at. Encouraging people to have a water butt if they have a shed. If there are areas where there isn't enough water, then putting some kind of roof or structure up and a water butt to collect. You could have a couple of water butts collecting water under a structure. I think it'd be so much more efficient. And rainwater is better than tap water for plants anyway.
Gillian, the thing about water pressure is critical on the allotments. At best, you could describe it as variable, and at worst, you describe it as useless. I mean, at the very time when you ever need to water and be filling up water butts, the pressure can drop to a trickle. So it really looks, I mean, I totally agree with what Roy's proposing, because I think it needs looking at almost, back to the drawing board rather than trying to put a patch of sticking water butts around the place. I definitely agree, Roy, with you.
And the one thing that we do have in Duxford, they do have water on the allotments, whereas the majority of allotments don't. They have to bring their own water in. But I will look into it. So if we carry that forward, and I will look into it, and I'll speak to some of the people concerned and see if we can come up with a better idea of watering the allotments and cutting our water bills, and so not having to put the rent up so much. So if you're happy with that, I'll carry that forward. Any objections? No? Thank you. Operations report. Gillian.
Operations report. Shall I share my screen?
Yeah, you can do. We're all getting super efficient on this sharing a screen now, aren't we?
Right. Can you
I can
see
your
that?
point. Yeah, just need to make it bigger. Have you got two screens? Oh, there it goes.
Okay.
Okay.
Tree works, Mercer have quoted 2,600 months priority works. The work is precepted. I'm not sure we need a decision because it's precepted already, but I think it's worth bringing it to the council as it's quite a large amount. But these are works that the tree surveyor recommended must be done within 3 months. So it's important for a safety point of view anyway.
Okay, we're all in
So
agreement.
any objections to that? The footpaths and verges will present about the contract with Buckens, which is the Green and Millennium. We're sticking with Buckens, but as Roy said, we'll give you more information on that next month. The passage along Long Lane remains very difficult. There are really serious brambles and ivy coming from the adjacent properties. We have an option to get them cut off and bill the parishioner, which we'd have to do very carefully because of the concern for the safety of the flint wall. But I think because they haven't done this work as yet, I think we're going to have to make a stand here and say we're going to get the work done. I know Joanne sent a couple of letters, but I'm not sure she's even had a response. Joanne, do you have anything?
Nothing yet. I think they've been away.
Okay, but it's almost impassable now. And you have to be very careful of your eyes with the brambles.
Yeah, we need to send them a strong letter out, Joanne. I think if they get it done, or we will. At their cost.
The final warning, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
This is the back of St Peter's Street, is it? Yeah.
Sorry?
Is this the back of St Peter's Street?
Long Lane. Yeah.
It's one that comes down to Greystones, but it's the once it goes around the right angle.
Yeah. I think that's King's Head House.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Recreation, did you say we're not going to speak about this today, Roy?
Have we got anything to speak about on it today? Or shall we carry it forward?
I do think that we have had time, we've all had time to think about whether we individually think we should have a second vehicle access. And I think we ought to make a decision on that, really.
Okay.
I feel very strongly that we can't lose vehicle access to the field. We can't landlock that field for future access, for whatever future councils might do. But if I think of all the things that have happened on that field or might, then whether it's a fair or a drive-in cinema or an open-air concert or a car boot sale or whatever, lots of activities going forward for which your vehicle access to that field would be useful. So I would not recommend going one or two. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see your point, Pete, but I think what I can't understand is why we didn't make the access into the rec as an access onto the field as well. Because really we're going to have to put another height barrier on it, which a lockable height barrier, so you can get high vehicles in. Because at the moment it is
Just
so.
the gates. I mean, there are thousands of gates around the country that have just got locks on. We don't need height barrier on it. You just open it for a fare and close it when the fare came in, wouldn't you? Yeah. So I don't think there's a risk at the gate, but it does require us to find access. Yeah.
Why have we gone to all the trouble on the other vehicle access then?
Well,
because there are significant periods when the barrier is up.
You've got traffic coming in and out all the time, but if you had an event, you would just manage the event, wouldn't you? If you had an open air cinema, you just man the gate for the duration of the cinema and close it. So that's a very different being to the gate going into the cafe and the deliveries and rubbish and all the rest of it. But I really don't think we should landlock that field for the future.
Okay, Joanne?
If we get travelling community come through the old gate, what was the point in putting the height barrier up on the other access?
Well, then improve the old gate. I mean, there's thousands of gates around the country that don't have height barriers. If we're not happy with the gate, then let's put a better lock on it or better hinges, but don't let's landlock the field because of the travellers.
Is there no way we can get an access from our existing new road?
No.
We can.
No, there's no way, because one of the problems there was purposely not done so you could get access by vehicular traffic onto the wreck to stop travellers coming in there and do it when it's open and trying to get on the wreck that way around.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is the gate that's on there is not fit for purpose.
Okay.
The hinges are broken and what have you.
Okay.
And so probably the best thing we should do is investigate how much to put a new gate on there, a secure gate similar to what we have on the brewery field, and keep it fit for such times as, you know, the fire service or somebody wants to get into it. So if you can look into the cost of that for us, Peter.
Cost of what?
Of putting a new gate on there.
Yeah, maybe why not? Yeah, I could do.
I mean, the old gate's no good.
Yeah.
Because the hinges are broken on it,
Yeah.
and the posts and everything there. So it would need a new gate to go across there.
So are you going to look into this disabled access then?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the disabled access, we have two problems at the moment, in that we had another parishioner who was saying that the access by the bowls club was too steep and he couldn't walk up it properly on his sticks and what have you. And there's no other mobile access at all to get onto the field, etc. So if we were to just put a gate across where the old one is at the moment, then we need to look to see if we can make that access not so steep. And I did look at it today, and I don't think it's going to be that easy to make it a gentle slope there. The other thing we can possibly do is, beside where the barrier is, we could, which is all load of a pile of rubbish at the moment, which is going to be done by water services to smarten it all up. What we could possibly do is extend the path into the wreck on that side for disabled access, coming down by the old pavilion, and then they would be able to come across the football pitch to the school. That probably seems one of the better ideas, and I can investigate the cost of having that done. But the other one by the bowls club, we'll have to get an engineer out to have a look at that. Right. But it would have to be dug down, you know, with a much gentler slope, because you've got quite a high thing there. So I don't quite know what.
It's difficult, that, because there's quite a height difference to manage, isn't there? Short distance, quite slow.
And if you make it the slope lower, then of course you're going to have a drop down from the end of the road. So you'd have to put some concrete barriers or something there so people don't reverse back too far towards the bowls club. So I will look into that side of it. If you look into the gate for me.
Okay.
Oh, any other comments at all?
Can I make
Yeah.
a comment that I think for the what we need to do for accessibility possibly is to have a word with there must be people at the district council whose job it is to manage accessibility could we ask them to come and give an opinion on what we need to do and whether or not things are too steep and so on, particularly with respect to the disabled access to the space. The vehicle access can be a different matter, is our problem. We can just work that out. But get some somebody else before we just start spending lots of money re-engineering things.
Good idea.
Somebody at district council, they must have a department there who sort this sort of thing out all the time for all the public buildings.
I will.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I will do that.
The other thing which is maybe not at all relevant but could be is point C on this page, rec school access points. If there's going to be some additional access points between the rec and the school grounds, are there going to be exit points onto Hunts Road as well?
As I understand it, right, they're not at this moment in time considering putting access points out onto Hunts Road. The ones that Peter and I discussed was as the back entrance to the school is where all the building work is going to go on, then would be to put a temporary entrance between where the community centre patio is into the school, so people can come into the car park, walk past the community centre and go into the school that way. So that, as far as I understand it at the moment, is the only thing that they're talking about and they're umming and ahhing about it at the moment. But we think that we wouldn't necessarily object to it. We'd have to ask you guys permission first. But then the county and everything are going to see whether it's feasible and what they want to do about it. Then they'll come back to us on that.
Okay, so we can discount that. But going back to point A, if we're going to go to point A3, install an accessible entrance, either adjacent to or separate to a gated and locked vehicle entrance, I would vote for having the accessible entrance right next to that vehicle entrance. Simply because when Paul and I cycle round to the community centre, we go through that pedestrian exit entrance on our bikes, or we wheel them through and then cycle across the football pitch, because you can't cycle up the gravel road and you can't cycle up the Liberty Lane. So I think I accept what you say about having an accessible entrance next to the barrier, but it's quite handy having it next to the vehicle entrance.
All right.
So,
but my only concern on that was that it's okay when the field is nice and dry, but what happens in winter and everything when it gets mushy, and that particular part does tend to be churned up with the training. Peter?
No, it's related to Julian's point, which is if you go back to the pathway, the footpath, then it looks as if we need to cut off the height now rather than just the sides, so that cyclists can cycle on there. So you can walk along there without hitting your head, but you can't cycle along there because the trees are still. We've regained width, but we haven't regained height in terms of the recent work we did. And I wonder whether we did a bit more pruning going on there so that you can cycle down that lane.
But do we want people to cycle down Liberty Lane when we've got pedestrians on it?
Yeah, I thought so. You need access, don't you? Yeah.
Let's see what we can do about the disabled access, and we'll tie it in with everything else. So I'll look into it in the next month and I'll report back, and we'll see what you know, if we get the advice from district as to what they think the best way we can do to access it, and then we can take it from there. And of course, the other thing is when the school rebuilds its planning, then there should be an access around the back of the school that would allow people to get through and into the rec from that direction as well. But that's in the
That
future.
would be great. But I don't think we can count on that.
I reckon we can. But yes, we'll see. So we'll take that on. School staff parking. The school has asked us whilst they're doing the building work.
Hang on. We haven't done B yet, Rob.
Sorry. Carry on. Have you got the record?
We haven't done B yet. B is I did send it out to you.
We've got it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
got it.
yeah, got it.
It's the only.
I only have one.
It's the only.
Go on, sorry. You bring it up. Yeah.
The change I made was to add a deposit. I don't know how you feel about that. I added a deposit for damage. So I added this here. In addition, a deposit of £250 shall be paid, which will be refunded, providing all rubbish has been cleared and there's no damage to the recreation ground
That's good
and
idea.
its structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Jill, I've got one question. The one thing that looked to have been omitted was the protection for the football pitch, and I wasn't sure why. In the previous issue, there was a football season protection, which has been dropped.
Oh, I didn't do that intentionally, Pete. So we can put that back in.
There was a section saying during the football season, no cars, caravans, or other vehicles are to be positioned within 2 meters of the pitch sidelines. I showed a little diagram.
Okay.
Which if there's no problem, I'd like to reinstate, because the football club are trying to develop the ground, and the last thing we need is to park all over it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, they do rent it from us anyway. So.
Yeah, I'll put that back in.
It was in the previous edition, I was all. I wasn't quite sure
Yeah,
why.
I remember seeing it now. I don't know why I lost that one.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
fine. But any other comments? Any other?
No, it's fine. Deposit's a good idea. Yeah.
We'll get that put in then. And
I did also add this line in the first paragraph, because clearly before we didn't have a hard standing.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good things to hire out. They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll amend that and put that back in, and we can agree it hopefully at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we can go to school staff parking now.
Right. Okay. So yes. So the school have asked us if they could park some of their cars in the car park whilst they're undergoing building works. I can't really see any objection to it as long as they.
Do we know how many would be mine? The principle is no problem at all, but we got a car park of 30. So if there are 30 cars there, and then we lose our car park during the day, I'm exaggerating, but we've got any sense of scale.
Well, when I spoke to them, I did say, we would monitor it. They were asking for sort of about a quarter or half of the spaces at one point. And I said, well, you can't reserve anything. It's got to be first come, first served.
Well, at lunchtime today, when I was painting, I looked over and there were 20 cars parked there without teachers contributing. So what we don't want to do, as is my DCC hat on, I suppose, is block the car park so much that it undermines it.
But I think, because of the problems they're having, then if they're not going to park there, they're going to park on the main road. So we should allow them a certain amount of that facility. If we find that they're using too much, then I'm sure we could always have a word with them and say, look.
But we could ask how many we're talking about. Yeah. Why not just ask that, get some sense of scale, that's all.
They probably don't know because it will change in and out of how they do the parking.
We could be really cheeky and I'll ask the county council for rent.
Yeah, we could do. Then we could rent the whole of it to them.
No, I'm not suggesting that far, but at a sliding scale, the first 4 are relatively cheap on a weekly basis, but the next 4 after that are a bit more expensive.
Surely the school can put a figure on it, can't they?
Well, we can ask. We can ask. They just asked the question, and I said I will bring it to the meeting. I can't see.
Agree the principle, but we need to know the scale of your requirement.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I mean, it'd be daft to say yes and then 25 hours to that. Yeah.
Joanne?
Can we agree in principle up to a certain number? Because I don't want to leave this another month.
No, I think we could ask them first, Joanne, couldn't we?
Yeah, I just don't want to carry it on to the next month. I think they need the help now. So
What
would-
about saying
I'm-
yes up to 5, and we can, and once we know how many more it might be, we'll make a decision on more. How about
Okay.
that?
Okay.
we can decide that outside of the meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can email around what they request and see they do, because you know, it's I think we need to help the school out as much as we can without detracting from people.
Yeah, no, the principle's a good one.
Go into
It's just,
Yeah.
it just shouldn't be open-ended, that's all. Yeah.
Okay. Entry sensor lighting is up and working.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Blinded myself with it last night. You still can't read the combination locks that well,
Not that well, no.
but it's better and it's working. All right.
Is this retrospective agreement?
No, we agreed it last month. We said we put it up.
Yeah, that shouldn't be on my report. Sorry.
£34.
A bargain.
DS sponsorship signage. Peter can talk you through that because he's had some correspondence with them.
Yeah, Peter sent round a good diagram which showed about where the posts were going to be and
Yeah,
things like that.
it's a revised proposal, which I think is a better one, which is, there are a couple of concerns about safety, because basically the recommendation is for 12 wooden poles to stick out of the ground at like 1.5 meters. And that's been superseded by, I think, a better proposal, which is that we let them put, you know the spikes that you put into the ground, into which you then drop a pole.
Mm-hmm.
So we let them put the spikes in, and so that you can't trip over them. You know, they're at the level of ground, and then all they do is drop their posts in there, you know, on a Saturday. So during the
That's
week,
a better idea.
That's
during
much
the
better
week, there's
idea, yeah.
nothing there apart from the spikes, which you won't trip over because they'll be recessed. And then on Saturday, out come the posts into the spikes, which
Just
I
shove them
think
in.
is a more elegant solution, really. In that sense, yeah.
And they have also agreed that they'll probably put covers on them as well. So that takes away all the problem of posts sticking out of the ground and everything.
Yeah, so otherwise,
Yeah.
you have 12 wooden posts. Okay, they're at the edge, but you still. Yeah, that's it. So, are you happy that I give them approval to put in 12 spikes? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Super
Thank you.
duper.
Where is it being stored? All the advertising? Is it staying in the pavilion?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, we're going to strip out the pavilion and give them one corner. The football club will have one corner, and then the rest of it will be there for all and sundry. Yeah.
I should have put on, although I didn't know you were doing it this week, Pete, but your picture of the pavilion looks great.
It's coming
Well
on.
done for getting it
coming on,
done so quickly.
Coming on.
My only question is, why didn't you paint the pillars?
They are being painted. This is just work in
Oh.
progress. Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's another coat to go on it all, yeah.
Oh, at least one. But we have discovered that painting cream onto dark red brick requires about 3 coats to make it beautiful. But we'll get there.
Well,
And the
yeah,
third coat are easier. First one's always a bugger.
Yeah.
Joanne.
Looks much better.
Joanne?
Hi, Joanne.
We cover item C. We didn't actually agree anything.
Item C.
It's the school
yes.
access points. They're talking about putting an access, as we said, next to the community centre, between the school and the community centre. But there's also talk of putting one towards Hunts Road as well. Early days on both of those, I think. So it's just in
Right.
principle. Do we have any objections?
We have no objections to the one going through to the school, I don't think. We will certainly have objections to the ones going out onto Hunts Road.
No, but the Hunts Road end of the boundary between the school and the rec.
I would
Still be between the school and the rec.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Towards that end.
Yeah.
That would be so that they could park their cars on Hunts Road and drop them off in that entrance,
Yeah.
which
What?
I wouldn't be pleased with.
Sorry, related to that, so now I was up there about 3:30 this afternoon, and I didn't pay that much attention, but it looked as if mums and children were emerging from the old back entrance.
Yeah, they still are.
So
Yes,
that's clear now, is it? Because I thought that was kind of like fire damaged area, but that's all opened up now, is it? So the original rear entrance is acting as normal now. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, I hadn't realised that. Okay.
But when they
Because of the
start
na-
building, then that'll be blocked off again.
Right, that makes sense.
Now they've demolished the bit that got burnt, they've just that's got fencing around it, around just the bit demolished bit.
Got it.
And you can get back. the kids can go in and out through the old back gate, and then across the field to the.
I appreciate that. I understand that now. And I can see that when the building starts, that will no longer be the case either. So.
We're in green principle to the one by the community centre.
Right.
What about the other one?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay.
What it is I think the preschool and the DX club, their porta cabins are going to be Hunt Road End. So it's to let the littlest children into a separate entrance because of COVID from the other entrances.
That makes sense.
It will only be temporary.
I don't see any problem with that at all. I mean,
no. That's fine.
Any disagreement?
Yeah.
Time is going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Spigot entrance we've done. Anything else, Gillian? Can't hear you. We've lost your voice.
You're mute. That's it.
Thank you very much for doing the big entrance. It looks really good.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really nice.
Work of art.
And
Jack of all trades.
so that is operations report.
Brewery field report.
Yeah, I mean, you've read what I have to say. I don't know if you've got any thoughts. I mean, I guess the real news really is that the hall's going well. I mean, without the detail.
Sorry, Pete, with the brewery
field. Go on. Yeah.
Brewery field. Sorry.
Yeah.
Back to you, Gillian.
So about the RAF, yeah.
Yes.
Brewery field report. The first thing is that the entrance at the Elms Close end has been done today. I wasn't here and Roy stood in for me. It looks good. Did you see the highways woman?
No, but I understand she went down there and passed it, so.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
She'll probably change her mind tomorrow, but you never know.
Well, I just look at it and think, why on earth did he have to come back? I feel quite sorry for the contractor, actually.
He said he's never known it before.
It's ridiculous, but at least it's done now, and we might get our £4,000 back. Finally. We've moved the last pile of soil improver, and we put a load of benches on. The last 3 benches that we've ordered are being delivered to my house tomorrow. I don't know when Rob Smith will be able to fit them. Hopefully soon. The only decision on the agenda is to agree in principle. The RAF Association charity wanted to have a stall on Brewery Field if the air show goes ahead. I don't have any objection to it. I can let them in with the vehicle gate being opened. Anybody else object? It's because the school won't have any space for her to have her stall on there.
Right. What are they? I'm no problem at all. I just intrigued as to what are they doing? They're trying to recruit or get money or what?
No, I don't.
It's a charity. The RAF Association is a charity. They raise money.
They collect money. Yeah.
They,
I think she sells pins and things like that.
Pins and badges, little rubber ducks that look like in airplanes.
Okay, all right.
So they're on the school for air shows, but obviously can't be there.
Yeah, that's fine. No
That's my charity, so I have to keep away from that because if I need money, that's who I go to.
We may not have an air show anyway, so
it
could be cancelled.
Okay.
And we will probably, on the nectar garden, the little fenced garden, we'll probably put up a sign to exclude dogs from that so that parents with toddlers can relax. Now we've got some more seating on the field because up until now that was the only seat we had on the field.
Right.
That's it really.
Yeah.
Nothing much else.
Thank you,
It's
Gillian.
looking great.
Right, Pete, or was it Malcolm who's doing the community centre report?
Yeah, no, I dropped out a very summary report this afternoon, so I haven't got any thoughts on it, but if you have them, fine. But otherwise, I'll just move straight to the kind of decision items, if you like.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, the
Well,
only
in
top
actual fact, for our guests who are listening in, if you can just give us a quick overview of how it's coming along.
Yeah, I mean,
we haven't seen the report.
It's, I guess that overall it's very encouraging on a number of fronts. In the room hirings that we've already got booked in, project to easily covering our costs for the first year, which, given the uncertainties with COVID, is a miracle. And a few won't take place. The choir have pulled out, so there's some at risk. But the overall funding position looks very good. I mean, given that we're 2 weeks in that sense. And equally, the cafe business has been astonishing. I mean, again, there'll be novelty and it might peter off, but Paul sold 700 coffees in his first week, which is a lot of milk. I mean, that says he needs a cow, I think. But it's going very well, and you talk to people, and there's a nice buzz there. So I think it's very early days, and I'm sure there are many hurdles to overcome.
We enjoyed our lunch there. It was great.
Yeah, it's good. He's a perfectionist as well. He's very determined to make it work in that sense. On all fronts, quality of food, his staffing, his COVID management, his track and trace. I mean, all the kind of things you'd want of him are there. He's a good man. We're very lucky to have Paul in place. So, I mean, you saw the report, and I think, who knows what's going to happen in the months to come, but at the moment it's looking very encouraging. I mean, Paul was complaining on Monday at how busy he'd been. And I was contrasting that with what a nice complaint that was, as opposed to one where he'd only sold 2 coffees that day or something like that. So they're nice problems where he's understaffed and that sort of thing. So let's hope it continues that way. So
at least some people.
Yeah. So I said, if you've got any questions or thoughts or ideas or concerns, then drop me a note or give me a call. I'm happily carry them to the DCC. But 10 or 12 days in, it's very encouraging, which is good. So in terms of decisions, then. Just to record your approval to the spending on the anti-graffiti paint. This was something we handled since the last meeting. I sent a recommendation round, and I think it was 5 yeses. I got majority. I didn't get any no's, and I got 5 yeses. So on that basis, I've committed us to that. So that's £3,300 worth of protection. It's essentially like a silicone skin that is put on the building. So if we are hit with graffiti, then it's very easy to wipe off rather than the disaster of that hitting rendering. So what we're commissioning that, it's a case of timing on that. And that comes out of the existing community centre budget. It doesn't hit the precept anymore. So
how much was it?
Sorry?
How much was it?
3,300.
We all would agree separately for that, yes?
Yeah.
Any objections? Good, thank you.
Because we got some money back from BT, didn't we?
Yeah, that was what funded it, Ed. Yeah, we got 3/8 back from BT. But we talked about the anti-graffiti thing for months, probably 6 months. And wouldn't it be a good idea? But it was not affordable until that rebate came back from BT, and that seemed to be a good way to spend it. And that was the essence of my recommendation to the team 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now. Yeah. So thank you for that. I'm not sure Item B is discuss and agree the risk assessment contingency should DCC disband. Now, I don't know what we're requiring there. I mean,
Malcolm, you came up with something on that, didn't you?
I did a risk assessment on it, yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a case of approving that, or what?
Yeah, it's just a case of approving that, I think.
Maybe we need to reissue. I can't remember it. A minute. The heart of that.
It seemed a good document to me.
Maybe we have to reissue the document too. I can't remember it.
Yeah.
Okay, if we carry that forward to next week,
there isn't a big issue there because the DCC is a charitable incorporated organisation. Means if, for example, it went bankrupt, its debt doesn't come back to us. Its debt is lost in that sense.
Yeah, but the property would come back to us. So
property would come back to us.
Do a risk as to how we would cope with it.
Yeah.
There's a cost element in that.
Yeah, there's a cost element to mothballing or something like that.
Yeah, when we had the auditor, when we were talking to her about things like that, she says you need to make sure that you have sufficient funds in the DPC that if it was to fall, then you can cope with and cover it and get it back running again.
That's right. We're not talking about a lot of money, but it's a good principle. Yeah. So the action on that is what Malcolm, will you reissue what you've got?
I can reissue that.
Yeah.
And we'll agree it next month.
And we'll look to agree it next month. Okay, thank you. And then the memorial policy, the final thing that was prompted by Chair of the DCC was kind of semi-assaulted by a lady who was demanding that some memorial be put up right at the front of the building to commemorate her son, which was kind of somewhat ambushed by that. And that prompted a view in DCC that maybe we should have some policy so that any of these applications, there's a process through which they need to be considered. And that's all that one-page document does. And it's a courtesy really to bring it to DPC, because the document recognises that if the memorial request is for something on the rec, that's a DPC decision, not a DCC decision. So there's a piece that says all green spaces on the recreation ground are the property of the Parish Council. And then a request relating to the green spaces for benches or trees should be made to the Parish Council. So it's just a recognition by DCC that one of their documents is quoting the Parish Council, and as a courtesy,
there you go. There it is.
wanted the Parish Council to see it. So there you go. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just there for our information.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that was it. So thank you for that.
Okay, right. Getting there. Teenage monies.
Yeah.
Just before we move on to that, can we just acknowledge DCC are very kindly letting the school and the preschool and the DX Club store bits and pieces at the centre at a time when storage is at a critical level. So huge thanks to DCC, just to acknowledge that.
Okay. Thanks,
We
John.
can pass them on to the DCC for us.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. You see my note, Joanne, which was the original pressure for FODs to come out was an expectation that room would be required for the referees on Saturday. And given the referees are not active any longer, then it's fine that they stay.
Very grateful.
Yeah.
Okay, teenage monies.
Yeah, teenage money. I've kind of a few thoughts on that. I've been trying to think about. I think there's three areas that maybe Gillian and Lisa and I ought to sit down and talk about. And there's one about how we're going to gather information, and whether that's the leaflet or it's the Scouts or Youth Club. The second is, what are the options? And the third, I think, which I don't want to be controversial, is whatever it is, whether it's a skate park or a fitness station, where it should be. Because a number of people I've talked to recently think the rec would be a better location for whatever it is than Brewery Field. That's not the discussion tonight, but there are three pieces of this jigsaw about how we gather enough input from youth, what the options are, and your input was useful, Roy. You kind of did an extract. There were fitness options and skate park options, and
as well.
Lots of good stuff.
And sorry, Joanne, did I understand that the chatterbox will be willing to put a leaflet out or give us a page in there?
I think so, yes. It'll be the next edition.
The next edition.
I wouldn't mind maybe she start. I wouldn't mind a view, because on communication, I've always taken the view, and maybe wrongly, that we should, rather than start with a leaflet, at least should be part of it, but should be a somewhat later part of it, that we should start by talking to somebody like the target audience, so talking to teenagers. And that was why I've been trying for months now to get to the Scouts and Lisa. And out of that discussion would then come a communications program, which was in tune to what they read or did or social media or whatever. But given that's not easy, and the Scouts still haven't met face to face, is there a view that we should just get on with the leaflet, or should we wait and talk to a few people first?
Well, my view is that, it's nice to talk to people, and the problem is if you talk to a group of people and you make suggestions, then they're more likely to nod their head and everything. Whereas if we were to put the leaflets out to all the teenagers, we could do it at the bus stops, and we could put it into the chatterbox as well. They could then, they would have an option to text us what their ideas were, and also to go on the website, which I've created a form which they could fill out. And that would give, before we discussed, that would then give us an idea of what they would like, rather than us holding meetings and saying, well, wouldn't you like this and what have you. So that way, I personally think, you know, the leaflet should go out and we get their opinion from that.
I agree that, I mean, even in the meeting, I always thought would be open-ended, that we shouldn't lead. I mean, we might ask for a point of view on something towards the end of it, but it should start by trying to flush them from cover, which is what your leaflet would do. But
yeah,
I had hoped that in discussion that might lead us to different places that maybe as older people we didn't know, but and also might lead us to different communication. Like there might be a social media site that is more valid to them than a leaflet. That was the only benefit of face-to-face with the entire audience.
The easiest thing, of course, is they can just text it, which they both will probably do. You know, and of course there are different. You've got the people that are in these clubs already, that already have some sort of thing like that. Where we want to try and get to the people that don't go to the clubs, that go down the big and do things down there. Or anything. I'm open to suggestions. If people want the leaflet to go out, then we can do that. Or do they want to wait till we talk to people?
That's why yeah, Gillian, please, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should start. I think we should get cracking. I've always said this. I think we should have got cracking a year ago, longer. And I think just waiting. And I'm also very aware that there's only one particular group of youngsters that will join the Scouts, for instance, and there's a huge load of youngsters that probably wouldn't join clubs and things like that. I think a leaflet. I would vote for putting a leaflet out straight away. As far as location goes, I don't really mind. I think if we go for a junior skate ramp, I don't think you've got room on the rec for something like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the only possible location for that would be Brewery Field.
I'm sure.
But I don't mind. I mean, if most people want a shelter, a teen shelter on the rec, rather than somewhere else in the village, I would have no objection to that.
Well, we could well put them on both. You know, if we've got the money, we could put one on it.
The concerns being expressed were putting a shelter onto Brewery Field where there's nobody there. So you're encouraging, I think, a fear of encouraging bad behaviour or drug handling, or at least if it was in a distant corner of the wreck, then there's a kind of half line of sight. Don't let's get into it now.
We can worry about it. Let's see what they want first. And then
so we can do the leaflet. The only question, please, for you, Julie, if I may, is the skate park one. Do you know how much they cost? I have no idea. But do you know what we could buy for £60,000?
Yeah, Roy and I costed it up when we were thinking about it before.
Yeah.
And I think you got, for about 60-odd thousand pounds, you got a junior ramp and a couple of extra bits, which they can, I don't even know what they do, to be honest. But, there was a rail. There was a rail and there was another bit that they could go up a wall. And so there were like 3 separate bits. But the money, it costs so much because you need all the anti-noise stuff. Yeah. You need the safety equipment, safety surfaces, so they can't hurt themselves too much. Yeah. And also, so it doesn't make too much noise, because one of the big complaints about these things is it's very noisy.
I wanted us to be aware when we get to decision making of what we can buy for our money, because the skate park at Lord Butler in Saffron Walden cost £1 million. So there are monsters, and I have absolutely no idea what 60 grand buys in terms of.
It's similar to the one that's at Shelford.
Not very much. Not very much.
We're not talking about a big one. It's just a small one, which gets people to go. But let's see what they want.
Yeah.
Let's see what they come up with. Then you can get together and make a decision as to what we want to buy and where we want to put it.
Okay. So who's going to drive the leaflet then?
Are you happy with the one I drew up, or you want to improve it?
Sorry?
Are you happy with the one that I drew up, or do you want to improve it?
Well, I think the one you drew up is very good, Roy. I wouldn't mind having another look at it and maybe not making a decision here and now. But I think it's pretty much what we want to say.
Yeah.
Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. See what we learn from it. If we don't learn enough, we'll
We need Lisa's input as well.
Yes.
We need Lisa's input.
Yeah. The three of you get together, have a look at it, and then we can ask the chatterbox whether they can give us a full page in there, and whether we can put a leaflet out in it for next month, for the October one.
Well, Leslie's with us, but I know her deadline is coming up for Chatterbox very quickly. So I'm happy to get together with.
My deadline was the 9th.
It was the 9th. So we'd have
I
to
already have your leaflet though, and have saved a space for it.
No, lady.
Oh, there you go.
But
That means if you want to change it, I could do with it by Monday or Tuesday.
All right. Okay.
Pete, I'm happy to get together. I probably can't do tomorrow. I might be able to in the afternoon.
I'm fairly flexible. I suspect Lisa might be more difficult to nail. Yeah.
So was that leaflet shared with Joanne? Did we share that leaflet? Did we with Leslie to ask if she could do it?
Yeah, Leslie just confirmed she's got it. She can put it in, but if you want to take it out, you can do.
Yeah, with that bit, but I didn't know how Leslie got it. So Leslie's had that leaflet, but yes. So you can chat with Lisa and yourselves and see if you need to change it and get it off.
I think we should just agree to make any changes within the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
So Jolly and I can look at it, and then it's done. Yeah, it's done.
Well, that's good. Thank you, Leslie, for saving the space for us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Leslie. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realise it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Final thing, Duxford School discussed and agreed donations to tour rebuild. Who wants to take that?
Is that for?
You, Joanne, who brought that up? Or...
Where is the initiative? Where is the initiative coming from for this? Is this a request from the school?
No. Ickleton have offered us. I've offered £500 as a donation to the fire rebuild fund, and we are thinking that as we haven't, as DPC, given a donation, we should, at the very minimum, match that. But of course, we need DPC approval for that.
And that's not just for the school fund. The school
have not asked for this money then.
No.
Then what's it going to be spent on?
The rebuild.
Are they not insured?
The county council pay for that, won't they?
Yeah.
The council pay for that?
Yeah. I could see if it was for rebuilding the libraries, if there was a point to it, like an add-on.
Well, I don't think it's for the structure. It's for the things that were lost. And Joanne, sorry, you know more about this than I do.
No, it's exactly that. The county council will give the basics, the tables, the chairs, the little bits and pieces is what they need to spend the money on. The school haven't asked. It's just purely because Ickleton PC they have their little children go to Duxford for the most part. So the reason it's on the table is whether we should match it or not because of a direct request.
Okay.
I don't see any particular reason why we should. I mean, it seems to be fine to give the school money if the school asks for it, wants it and needs it and specifies what they need it for. But just to sort of throw money in the air seems to be kind of unfocused.
But don't you think, Peter, that it looks a bit mean of DPC when other councils are offering money and we are not?
It makes us look ridiculous. We've got to match it at least, surely.
I personally don't understand why, but it's...
my understanding is that it's not just for the school, it's for the DX and for the preschool as well. It all goes into one fund, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so it is to help the DX and the preschool as well recover the stuff that they come back. Any other comments at all?
On it.
Do we have anything written on this then? Or is this just an informal discussion?
And no, it is a discussion that we can vote on now. Does anybody else want to make any comments about it?
I sit on the fence, really. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take a vote.
Next one.
Those who think we should give them £500, can they please raise their hands? Or
That's me.
that's Nick.
So,
Three,
Gillian, Roy, Malcolm, Nick. That's 4.
four. That's,
How many councillors have we got here?
and those against?
8.
Those against?
I would wait on this.
One. And
Yes.
abstaining? 2. Okay, so the motion carried. Right, diary and next meetings.
When shall we 3 meet again?
Yes, Gillian. Sorry, Joanne, when's our next meeting? Is it this side of Christmas?
8th of October.
8th of October. Okay.
This side of Christmas.
Anything else from anybody?
No, I think so.
Thank you
Nope.
all for attending. Thank you, Nick,
Brian.
for
Thank you,
taking on
Sarah.
that job for us. And thank everybody for all the work you've been doing around the parish for the last month. And we'll see you this time next month.
Yeah.
We're going.
Tune in next month for an exciting episode.
Another month closer to death.
Oh,
Yes.
nearly 2 hours again. I don't know. I'm going to stop recording now.
One day shorter.